Hello, everyone. It is time to review the new Netflix movie, Kate, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's a super skilled assassin who winds up getting targeted herself. Kate's been poisoned, and with less than 24 hours to live, she sets out to track down the person responsible for trying to kill her, all while her body is essentially breaking down. So first here, I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's just one of those actors who I am convinced will elevate any film that she's in. This one, though, it does have a ceiling, and I think that ceiling is largely set by the visuals and the narrative, and you can kind of feel her bumping up against that ceiling throughout the film. Let's start right now with those visuals I just referenced, and I am specifically referring to the action in the movie here. A lot of the fight scenes have some very, very cool beats to them. For example, Kate officially has one of my favorite hair cutting scenes in a movie ever, and I truly mean ever. But this is a case where some of the action does feel over-edited, and some of the stunt work isn't quite there. There's also a car chase that comes to mind that is created largely through visual effects that it doesn't quite work. Director Cedric Nicholas Troyan has a VFX background, and I still think this particular scene is very nice to look at. The problem is, though, it just doesn't blend in well enough with the look of the rest of the movie. So even though I do think it is pretty cool, it just feels out of place. But also, that is not to say I didn't like any of the action in the movie, because that's most certainly not true. There is a lot of solid work in that particular department. For example, there's one sequence that takes place in a location called the Black Lizard. It's a sequence that, yeah, it does have those noticeable editing and stunt work weaknesses that I mentioned, but it still works. One, because I think the choreography is quite exciting and inventive and thoughtful, and two, because of the determination that Winstead brings to that role. And then also, I have to point this one out. One fight scene I was so impressed by from top to bottom is one that takes place mostly in an apartment kitchen. I won't spoil the specifics of it for you, but do look out for that one. That was probably my favorite of the bunch. As for the story now, I do have a couple of issues, but first I wanted to point out something that I wound up loving. It's not necessarily a home run, but it is a component that played very well and I would say conjured the biggest emotional response from me. And it's the connection between Kate and Ani, who's played by Miku Patricia Martineau. Ani is a young girl who winds up getting caught up in Kate's mission, and the two spark an unexpected connection where they're very different, but also certain things about their experiences overlap in a way that winds up giving Kate a pretty powerful sense of purpose. And then also on top of that, Martineau just really pops quite a bit in that role. Ani is a kid who is just buzzing with personality and really seems to enjoy annoying Kate. I don't necessarily think that the script merges that quality of hers with Ani's deeper concerns and efforts super well, but this is a situation where the life that Martineau breathes into that role, and then also her chemistry with Winstead, just really well sells the character's journey and their connections to one another. And also, simply put, she's just a whole lot of fun to watch and brings a good deal of energy to the film, which is quite important here because, again, I have more than one issue with the story, and another one of them is that the film can feel a tad flat at times. I don't think I can necessarily point a finger at any one thing and say to you, this right here, this is the problem and why that is happening. Feels a little more like a combination of elements that just don't quite come together well enough to create that special spark. And then on top of that, there is also the issue of the story being kind of predictable. There's one thing in particular, though, that I'm thinking of that I think I figured out just so early on that I suspect it significantly impacted the suspense level of the film for me. Also, the plot is very simple but also convoluted. The basic premise is an assassin seeking revenge, but there are a lot of steps involved for Kate while seeking out her primary target. They actually all do line up, though. I was trying to track them all pretty closely, but I suspect it could be easy to get a little lost in how many people are involved in that situation, to the point that not every revelation is going to feel like an important discovery, rather just one step of many. All right, score time. I am giving Kate 3 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimovie scale. It is a decent watch, and like I said, if Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the headliner, sign me up. And she didn't disappoint, but Kate winds up being just an okay assassin movie. Not necessarily something to prioritize this instant. So that is where I leave you with Kate. If and when you check it out on Netflix, comment section, jump into it and share your own thoughts on the movie right there. Now, before I leave you, we have Patreon shoutouts, a group of 6 right here, and they are John Gregory, MK Songbird, Tommy, Andrew, Christy, and Rick. Such a great group right there. You guys are all so wonderful. You've been such dedicated supporters for so long, and I know you've heard this a million times at this point, but man, I'm going to say it again, and I want you to know just deep down how much your support means to me. Thank you all so, so much. And a big thanks to anybody out there watching this video. I do really appreciate it. I hope you like and share it before you leave, and stay tuned. So much more content coming your way on this channel very, very soon.